Good evening, you are tuned into Maisha television, and this is definitely Maisha Prime News. It is my pleasure to once again bring you a comprehensive, authoritative, unbiased and incisive bulletin that covers breaking news, developing stories, politics, education, and also what is happening at the business sector and many more. And just a recap for you tonight, the Tundu South Member of Parliament Moses Kuria on Wednesday appeared before the IEBC to make clarification on claims he made during the United Democratic Alliance UDA National Delegates Conference NDC. This is as the fuel shortage continues to hit hard in many parts of Western Kenya as motorists are scrambling for the little available drops in a few filling stations. We have these and many more stories prepared for you tonight. And remember, we have 5/5 segment at the end of the bulletin. Make sure you don't miss out. Welcome to the incisive and unbiased bulletin that comes to you every Monday to Friday at 8 p.m. and 9 a.m. and on weekends that is Saturday and Sunday at 9 p.m. My name is Rida Karim Chebet. And a few to hit hard in many parts of Western Kenya. Motorists are struggling for the little available drops in a few filling stations. The petrol stations with the remaining folks are said to have hiked their prices. EPRA released a statement on Monday blaming the shortage to logistical constraints. The independent distributors, however, blamed government for not releasing subsidies to the marketers. Brian Gard reports.
Kenyans have been crossing to the neighbor to fuel their vehicles following the shortage being experienced in the country. According to the motorists, they prefer Uganda as it has enough supplies and the prices are subsidized by the government.
Niliamuka nyumbani saa 11, nimepanga laini karibu station 5 hivi. Sitapata mafuta kufikia saa 10, sasa hivi tunaelekea saa 11.
Speaking to Maisha TV on Wednesday, March 30th, the motorists have noted that most towns along the Kenya-Uganda border had suffered prolonged fuel shortages, forcing them to cross the border.
Wana bodaboda wenzangu saizi wameshinda vile wanaweza enda na motorbike nyumbani.
Sisi hatuwezi fika Uganda kwa juu Uganda ni mbali sana na huku. Kwa juu lazima utakuwa na mafuta ndio ufike huko na hatuna mafuta.
The bodaboda operators are even contemplating doubling their prices as the shortage bites.
wamesema hakuna kitu wanaweza fanya kwa sababu hiyo ni inakuwa control na serikali. Kwa hivyo wamekubali, lakini wanasema bora kukue na mafuta.
On March 14th, the Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority EPRA announced that petrol in Kenya would retail at 134 shillings 72 cents per litre, while diesel was priced at 115 shillings 60 cents per litre. In comparison, a litre of petrol in Uganda retails at 128 shillings 16 cents, while that of diesel goes for 117 shillings 76 cents. The Petroleum Outlets Association of Kenya (POAC) in a statement explained that the shortage experienced in western and North Rift towns were caused by various factors. The situation was worsened by the ongoing Ukrainian conflict, which affects the pricing points in the Kenyan market. EPRA was also slammed for not cushioning the petroleum dealers and Kenyans at large.
Kwa majina ni Fina Hasandi, station manager Ola Bungoma. Kwa town mzima sisi peke yetu ndio tulikuwa na mafuta. Na tulikuwa na stock kwa sababu kabla ya weekend tuliweza kuweka mafuta ya kutosha ili tuweze kuserve the entire town. Kukata for our customers tume make sure kwamba tuko na enough stock kwa wakati huu ambapo mafuta inakosekana. Na ili wa customers waweze kusaidika tumeweka limit ndio kila mtu apate kidogo for that particular day. Ile kiegezo tuliweka kwamba kila mtu apate kidogo, walikuwa wanalalamika lakini pia wanakubali wamepata ya kufanya kazi kwa hiyo siku. Ile kampuni tunafanya nao kazi ambayo ni Ola, tumeweka orders na tunatarajia kupata leo mafuta jioni. Gari zetu zimelala huko ambapo zitachota leo na zinajua zitafika kama ni usiku ama kesho mapema.
Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority EPRA has attributed the fuel shortage in various parts of the country to logistical constraints. In response to the ongoing reports of fuel shortage in parts of North Rift and Western Kenya, EPRA issued a statement affirming that the constraints had led to independent petroleum dealers running out of petroleum stock, occasioning the shortage. The authority assured the public that it is working to fix the issue and ensure adequate fuel supply. The Petroleum Outlets Association of POAC has attributed shortage of fuel to several factors, which has created unfavorable trading conditions. POAC, in a statement released 27th March, explained that at times they have to deal with unfair practices in the international market, such as artificial shortage since 2021. The situation was worsened by the ongoing Ukrainian conflict. POAC, which sources the product from multinational companies that are part of the open trade system, announced. In addition, they also blamed the Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority EPRA for not cushioning them from local wholesale suppliers of petrol, despite issuing the maximum prices of the products at petrol stations. This has left them at the mercy of suppliers who sell the fuel at pump prices, making their businesses unsustainable. They further called on the government to intervene in the situation, not the suppliers will continue to explore available options to restore the flawless supply of the product. On Monday, March 28th, several motorists across the country flocked petrol stations to purchase either petrol or diesel. A majority of them was turned down by attendants over lack of fuel. An increase of the fuel cost in the April review for the month March 15th to April 14th sparked concern among Kenyans who had no other option than to dig deeper into their pockets to make ends meet as the price of other commodities rose. Fear of an even worse shortage has caused motorists and matatu operators to desperately go around petrol stations in the region in search of fuel. Some were seen carrying plastic containers and jerrycans searching for fuel. Some motorists were seen pushing their cars along the road After running out of petrol, only Shell, Ola and other petrol stations have fuel. Motorists and bodaboda operators have expressed frustrations.
Wana bodaboda wengi sahi wanataka walipe loan. Hawana vile wanalipa. Tujui sasa tutafanya namna gani. Sasa tunaomba hata wale wenye wanapeana pikipiki za loan leo wasitai. Tunaomba wasitai. Hii mwezi yote mpaka vile mafuta itakuja ndipo waanze kutai.
Nimezunguka kuanzia asubuhi kutafuta mafuta petrol station Bungoma account, hakuna mafuta. Sasa usafiri umekuwa ngumu. Hata mali penye tuko hapa hivi. Huko juu serikali wanataka watu wapatie magura na hapa chini wanataka kutusaidia mafuta. Hata tunashindwa na watu wanataka tuwasaidie vipi?
Kulingana na bei ya mafuta, saa hii ukinywa mafuta ya 100 hata uwezi fikisha 50. Mimi naomba rais wa Kenya atutetee kulingana na hali ya mafuta.
Maisha Television, Brian Gad.
And candidates who sat this year's Kenya Certificate of Primary Education KCPE examinations have been assured of integrity in the Form 1 placement when the process begins in 2 weeks' time. The Education Cabinet Secretary Professor George Magoha said the process will see all learners who did their KCPE in 2021 placed in national, extra-county, county and sub-county schools. Magoha also announced that the selection criteria will be based on affirmative action, taking into account geographical distribution countrywide. Speaking on the sidelines of the ongoing Surgical Society of Kenya conference, Professor George Magoha said the selection criteria will not discriminate against well-performing students, especially those in the Kenyan slums and in the arid and semi-arid areas.
Everybody will want to go to Alliance. Every Alliance has maybe 500 slots. Everybody will want to go to Kenya High with another 500 slots. Maybe another 500 for Pangani and what have you. And yet we have close to 12,000 children with over 400. So we have to ensure that there is affirmative action which takes into account the geographical distribution of this country. And just tell you that children from the northern region must also be represented in all areas of national schools. And in order to do that, God and the government has given us the powers to be fair. I want to say that you don't have to go to the top 10 schools to get anything. Going by the results which we shall release maybe in 2 weeks, you will see that some of the most improved schools are the ones that you would not imagine. So I think, I hope I have answered your question. Every child is safe in Magoha's hands. But Kenya is a rainbow country, and we want to be sure that there's a child from Marsabit at Kenya High School. There's a child from Nyeri in Kenya High School. There's a child from Mombasa here in Kenya High School. That's why they are called national schools.
And away from that, the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, IEBC, has ruled that the vote rigging claims case facing Gatundu Member of Parliament Moses Kuria will now proceed to full hearing. The commission, led by Chairman Ufula Chebukati, stated that the matter was weighty and warranted further proceedings. Kuria had sensationally claimed that the Jubilee Party stole the 2017 elections to hand President Uhuru Kenyatta an easy win. Bushebi Jr. is on that story.
Gatundu South Member of Parliament Moses Kuria has threatened to drag the Supreme Court into his misconduct case before the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission IEBC after the electoral agency resolved to slot the matter for full hearing.
Some of the things that were cited by the Supreme Court, like the issue of the manual transmission for presidential resort. So what IEBC is doing is running after a fly while Rome is burning. Their Rome is really burning. They have got huge issues that should be occupying them. Kenyans should have a reason to worry. If you see people who have got time to waste half a day at a time when, you know, they should be scrabbling for time, because it's actually no time.
The lawmaker who objected the full hearing, now scheduled for April 7th, defended himself from accusations of wrongdoing following his vote rigging claims.
Our client has not received any other document according to the instructions he has given, except the summons and the statement of breach. That is the only documents he confirms have been received. And actually, among the three councils, we have discussed here, and we are in agreement that none of us has seen any of those documents alleged to have been served to our client by the...
Kuria was interrogated by the Commission's Electoral Code of Conduct Enforcement Committee following his remarks which he made on March 15th, suggesting that the 2013 and 2017 general elections was rigged in favor of President Uhuru Kenyatta.
Mr. Chairman, on our part, we are ready to proceed. We served the requisite documentation, statement of breach, the summons, the video clip, the certificate of processing the video clip, the affidavit of the investigation officer, all to the subject of these proceedings, Honorable Moses Kiarie Kuria, through his agent, and we have evidence of delivery of the documentation.
Kuria made the allegations during the United Democratic Alliance National Delegates Congress, where Deputy President William Ruto was crowned as the outfit's presidential flag bearer. The Supreme Court nullified the August 2017 presidential election, citing irregularities and failure to comply with election laws and regulations. The court ordered IEBC to redo the exercise. The controversial lawmaker expressed dismay on how the commission has opted to deploy resources and time to probe his case.
We are ready to proceed. One is that we would be asking for the relief of this Enforcement Committee of the Code of Conduct, that we are allowed to raise a preliminary objection to these proceedings. The parties was not satisfied by the decision of this commission or the committee on that issue, and they moved to the High Court in petition number E073 of 2022, the case of Hon Sabina Wajiro Chege versus IBC, and Justice Anthony Murema suspended any proceedings by this committee pending determination on that question.
Earlier during the hearing, Kuria raised preliminary objections, claiming that he was not properly served all the evidence for him to prepare a solid defense. He also challenged the commission's jurisdiction to hear and determine the matter. Kuria's legal team, that had 6 lawyers led by Ndegwa Wahome, cited a High Court ruling that ordered the commission to halt further proceedings against Murang'a women representative Sabina Chege, who is also being investigated by the commission on vote rigging claims.
I've been able to deal with this issue in the case of the IBC versus Sabina Wajiro Chege, which came before this commission, and such an issue arose as to the place of the IBC in enforcement of its own code of conduct against statute as enacted by the Parliament, and that is the National Cohesion and Integration Act. And share at that particular matter that you have handled.
The objections were, however, shot down by the commission, with Chebukati ruling that the orders were in personam, meaning enforceable specifically against an individual or a person, and not in rem, which means affecting other people generally. Chebukati was clear that Kuria must be made accountable, insisting that he had violated election code of conduct.
Mr. Chairman, to augment that service, we also effected electronic service through WhatsApp media to the known telephone number of Honorable Moses Kiarie Kuria. We are ready to proceed.
Kuria, who is eyeing the Kiambu gubernatorial seat on his Chama cha Kazi party, has maintained that his remarks were misinterpreted and has vowed to move to court to seek an injunction and bar the commission from hearing the case. For Maisha Prime, Maisha Television, I'm Bushabi Jr.
And the national government has officially begun the process of taking in the views of various stakeholders in all the 47 counties. The plan aims to engage the people by taking their views across the country to help the government achieve the big four agendas and also the Vision 2030. Millicent Makoha with more.
The national government has officially begun the process of taking in the views of various stakeholders in all 47 counties. According to the Secretary of Special Programs in the Ministry of Devolution, Josfata Mkobe, the plan aims to engage the people by taking their views across the country to help the government achieve 4 government agendas and also the Vision 2030.
It's a pleasure to welcome you all to this county consultation, a forum for the 4th medium-term plan, which runs from 2023 to 2027 of Kenya Vision 2030. The consultation forums, which are running concurrently in all the counties, have been organized to provide opportunity for stakeholders and the public to discuss and propose county development priorities that will form basis for the 4th MTP policies, programs, and projects. The National Treasury and Planning, through the State Department for Planning, has initiated formulation for the 4th medium-term plan 2023 to 2027. The MTP4 will succeed 2018 to 2022, whose implementation will come to an end by June 2023. It will implement the 4th phase of Kenya Vision 2030.
In a statement from the Finance Minister, read out by the Secretary at the meeting, he stated that the comments will be refined by experts and will help implement government projects.
It is worth noting that the 4th MTP will also implement the second last phase of Kenya Vision 2030 and will set momentum for transiting into the next long-term development.
On his part, Bungoma County Commissioner Samuel Kimiti has asked the Security Department to be vigilant and ensure that all government projects are implemented in a timely manner, as he also commended the government for taking steps in involving the public.
People participate in a planning process. It becomes very easy for them also to implement when the time of implementation comes, because they understand that this is their program. So we want to thank the government and we want to assure also the government that whatever request we are going to be asked to do after this exercise, we will be equal to the task and we will take it.
For Maisha Prime News, Maisha Television, I'm Millicent Makoha.
Solicitor General Kennedy Ogeto has weighed in on the heated debate centered around the Building Bridges Initiative BBI ruling that will be delivered by the Supreme Court on Thursday, March 31st. Speaking in Nyamira County on Wednesday, Ogeto stated that the government was anticipating any outcome, both positive and negative, and that no matter the ruling, justice will prevail. Ogeto, an advocate of the High Court of Kenya, addressed the media after launching Nyamira National Treasury and planning a 4th medium-term plan. Bushebi Jr. with more on that story.
The Supreme Court is set to issue its judgment on the appeal case on the Building Bridges Initiative on Thursday, March 31st. Supreme Court Registrar Letizia Washira said the 7-judge bench chair Chief Justice Martha Koome will issue the verdict at 9 a.m. In the much anticipated ruling that may have major consequences for the August 9th presidential and parliamentary polls, the court will either appeal the ruling of the Court of Appeal that rendered the BBI process unconstitutional, null and void, or invalidate the lower court altogether.
Its decision to stop BBI to a cost-benefit analysis, in other words, if it had considered the burden of choice, then there are questions the judiciary would have asked. If we indeed were at a constitutional moment, is a decision against BBI a decision in support of the status quo?
Please allow the court to make a fair, properly informed decision without unnecessary attacks, comments by all concerned.
President Uhuru Kenyatta and former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, who engineered the BBI process, were among those who moved to the Apex Court to challenge the invalidation of the process and will be looking out for a different outcome.
If this story we are being told about nobody can stop reggae, if the reggae is what we are seeing, the ethnicity that is being preached in BBI rallies and the ethnic profiling of communities and the hate and the campaign one community against another, if that is the reggae they are talking about, my friends, reggae will stop.
The constitutional reforms pushed by the two aimed to expand the executive and address the winner-takes-all electoral system blamed for frequent explosions of poll-related violence. The BBI was drawn up following a rapprochement between President Kenyatta and his erstwhile opponent Odinga and a famous handshake between the two after the ODM leader disputed the outcome of the 2017 election. The proposed amendments to the 2010 constitution were approved by Parliament in May 2021 and were then due to be put to a referendum. But just 2 days later, a three-judge bench of the High Court ruled they were illegal as the president did not have the right to initiate the process.
A declaration is hereby made that the president does not have authority under the Constitution to initiate changes to the Constitution, and that a constitutional amendment can only be initiated by Parliament through a parliamentary initiative and Article 256, or through a popular initiative and Article 257 of the Constitution.
The Court of Appeal in August 2021 upheld the view and said President Kenyatta could even be sued in a civil court for launching the process.
A declaration is hereby made that Mr. Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta has contravened Chapter 6 of the Constitution and specifically Article 73, Sub-Article 1, Sub-Article A, Sub-Article 1.
At the Supreme Court during the hearing, President Kenyatta's lawyers mounted spirited fight, submitting that the law gives the president immunity from prosecution or civil action while he is in office.
Article 131 of the Constitution confers upon the president certain functions, the performance of which may potentially include amending the Constitution.
We have now current politicians, and there's very little really to admire them for. Most of them, you get the impression that they are job seekers, they are office seekers. And they come up with things like amendment of the Constitution because they want to continue to be in power.
The judge under the Constitution 2010 is a lion or a lioness. You are expected to roar the constitutional truth. You are expected to say it like it.
The decision of the judges is that the judgment will be on notice.
For Maisha Maisha Television, I'm Bishop Jr.
And now to campaigns. The Kenya Kwanza team, led by Deputy President Dr. William Samoei Ruto, on Wednesday took their campaigns to Machakos County, where they sold their bottom-up model to the residents as they seek to woo the Kamba region to support DP Ruto's bid come 9th August. Narima Wekesa is on that story.
Arambe!
Deputy President William Ruto has retold calls for Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka to ditch the Azimio la Umoja caravan and join the Hustler Nation.
Anatusukumia huyu mtu ya kitendawili, hata na hao wanajaribu kweli. Sasa huyu mzee ya kitendawili si tunamjua? Kwani ni mtalii amefika Kenya? Kwani ni mtu mgeni amefika juzi? Sisi tunamjua? Hata nyinyi mnamjua. Si huyu jamaa ndiye amehangaisha Kalonzo? Si alidanganya Kalonzo ati niunge mara moja nitakuunga mara hiyo nyingine? Siku yenye alifika siku yake si akaanza Kiswahili. Sijui ilienda ikarudi ikapanda ikashuka. Akakataa. Si namna hiyo.
Speaking in Kangundo during a stopover campaign rally on Wednesday, Ruto said ODM leader and Azimio la Umoja flag bearer Raila Odinga has taken Kalonzo in circle for far too long.
Amezungusha Kalonzo hapo mpaka juzi. Simulikia Kalonzo juzi akisema wamemzungusha mpaka ameenda hata sign makaratasi yenye ajui nini amesign. Ni kweli ama si kweli? Sasa kwani huyu mtu ni mtu mgeni? Si tunamjua? Si ni huyu mtu amehangaisha Kalonzo? Si ni ule mtu wa kukataa matokeo ya uchaguzi? Si ni ule jamaa wa kungoa reli? Si ni ule jamaa wa kujiapisha? Si ni ule ana agenda atitibi mtiala na ria?
Ruto said Kalonzo was not new to the political deception that the ODM leader is known for.
Sasa nyinyi mnajua, si amekuwa around miaka hii yote? Kuna chochote amepanga ya maendeleo? Sasa mnataka kuniambia hawa watu wanasukuma mtu ya kitendawili? Wanatuambia saa hii miaka yake ndio ile inafika karibu 80. Saa hii ndio ataanza kujua vile ya kupanga mambo ya maendeleo ya Kenya? Si kazi, mimi naona tu tumfanyie kazi moja. Tusaidiane na watu wa Kangundo. Huyo mzee tumuweke kwa wheelbarrow express mpaka Bondo. Ama
the people of Kenya have already decided that the next president of the Republic of Kenya is William Samoei.
Huyo mzee ambaye anatudanganya sisi Wakamba kila siku akaenda kufanya handshake na President Uhuru Kenyatta, si ndio? Alienda na Kalonzo ama alienda peke yake? Alienda na Kalonzo ama alienda peke yake? Sasa akaenda akatenga Kalonzo wetu tena, akaenda peke yake, akaingia ndani ya serikali, akawacha opposition ikihangaika.
These handshake people, how come now they are looking for Kalonzo Musyoka? But the day Mzee wa Azimio was going to greet Uhuru Kenyatta, how come he never called Kalonzo Musyoka? Sikuna kitendawili hapo? Sikuna swali hapo?
For Maisha Prime News, Maisha Television, I'm Nerima Wekesa.
Anatosha matoshi.
All right, let's take a quick break. Maisha Prime News will be back shortly. Stay tuned.
It is a season of seriousness, and only the serious presenters come onto your screen.
Maisha Prime News and Maisha Prime Morning Edition. My hustle, my story. Maisha Prime Weekend.
Rida Kirin Chibet, Millicent Makoha, Brian Gad. Only on Maisha TV. Gospel Believers Fellowship Bible College, located in Bungoma at Gospel Believers Fellowship Church next to Huduma Center, invites you to take courses in Bible studies, The Bible College offers 57 basic Bible courses, with every class filled with transformational truth, with a focus on growth and development in academic smarts. Gospel Believers Fellowship Bible College is a non-denominational college that helps in your understanding of the scriptures.
We have 54 courses that we carry out to our students. Tuko na diploma level 1 na diploma level 2.
We have morning classes at 10 a.m. and evening classes at 3 p.m.
Tangu nianze sikujua ministry gift ni nini. Sasa nimejua.
The college is in collaboration with International Victory Bible Institute IVBI in Oklahoma in USA and runs 3 semesters per year. The courses are designed for anyone who wants a focused, organized and thorough study of the Bible. Our mission is to equip people to practice the kingdom way of life and become mature disciples of Christ.
Kwa majina ni Patrick Wanyonyi Wasike, ni mwanafunzi wa theology katika shule hii.
Mwanafunzi anapojiunga na chuo cha Biblia analipia tu production ya vitabu, kwa sababu tunafanya kitabu kimoja shilingi 200 na tuition ya pasa.
Welcome back, and glad you tuned into Maisha Television. And moving on, Gatundu South Member of Parliament Moses Kuria recently caused an uproar after alleging an oath had been taken for the Kikuyus in 1969 not to support a certain group of people for the presidential seat. Was it just the textbook antic of awakening ghosts from the past? Our reporter Brian Gad did a research on the same. Let's have a look.
And I was tried, and I was charged, and I was told...
Details of the oath are shared by Reverend John Gatu, now a retired moderator of the Presbyterian Church of East Africa PCEA, when he was called by Mzee Kenyatta to his Gatundu home, informing him that the Gikuyu people were to take an oath. Gatu received a rather unusual call from the Ichaweri home of the founding president Mzee Jomo Kenyatta that morning. The caller on the other end of the line informed him that the president wanted to see him but did not divulge details. Moments later, the moderator at the time, the Reverend Crispus Kiongo, called Gatu on the telephone, informing him that he too had been summoned to the home in Gatundu. A day earlier, Gatu had made a powerful summon against voter bribery in the upcoming general elections, a planned gratuity for cabinet ministers, and a host of other national matters. He was worried that he could have annoyed the president.
John Gatu, I am a retired Presbyterian minister. I retired some 19 years ago after serving as General Secretary and also as moderator of the church.
When the two men of the cloth arrived in Ichaweri, they found the president flanked by Mbeyo Koinange, then the Minister of State in the office of the president. In his memoir, Fan into Flames, Reverend John Gatu says the visit was meant for them to take a Gikuyu oath to the purpose of unifying the tribe. Orchestrated by Kenyatta's inner circle, the ceremonies were meant to mobilize gamer communities against Jaramogi Oginga Odinga's Kenya People's Union KPU ahead of upcoming elections, whose date was, however, yet to be set. Stunned, the two men listened silently as Kenyatta explained that some of the oath's repulsive requirements would be set aside because of their faith if they so wished. For instance, they would be allowed to swap blood for milk. Their request for the full text of the oath would be denied, the president only telling them that it was a secret. Details would emerge that those forced to take the oath were asked to vow that they would never allow the presidency to leave the house of Mumbi. The killing of Thomas Joseph Mboya, a man whose appeal spread across communities, happened at the height of the oathing ceremonies, further widening divisions between the Kikuyu and the Luo. Gato recalls that after the shooting, there was widespread suspicion that the assassination was instigated by the state, sparking bitterness and anger against Kikuyus. During Mboya's requiem mass, a woman allegedly threw a shoe at Kenyatta. Gato writes that when the president's car was stormed, his security detail responded, resulting to many casualties and fatalities, to which many were from the Luo community. President Kenyatta's succession was also at play, with his bosom friends keen on ensuring that Daniel Arap Moi, then the vice president, would not succeed Mzee Kenyatta. Gato writes that after consulting other church leaders, it was decided that they would not take the oath as it served no purpose in a newly independent Kenya. The churchmen promptly delivered a letter to Kenyatta explaining their position. Then all hell broke loose. One day, after escorting Gato to the airport to catch a flight to Beirut, Lebanon, his wife Rahabu and their children were waylaid by a crowd and forced to take the oath. State agents increasingly targeted PCA clergy, leaving church leaders to conclude they were being punished for defying Kenyatta. Thousands of people continued flocking Gatundu to take the oath, the state marshalling huge resources for the rather unorthodox method of rallying central Kenya residents to Kenyatta's side. State agents orchestrated kidnappings and torture. The government, in the meantime, continued to deny that the ceremonies were taking place, with Koinange issuing a ministerial statement in parliament in which he said the allegations were false. On July 22, 1969, the PCA clergy wrote to the president, telling him, among other things, that the ceremonies were isolating Kikuyus from other communities. When the ceremonies persisted, forcing women to flee their homes and children to drop from schools, they wrote yet another letter in which they explained the oathing had caused serious damage to the social fabric in central Kenya. They told Kenyatta that children whose parents had not taken the oath had been thrown out of schools, teachers seized from schools, and men of the cloth kidnapped and forced to take chai, a euphemism used to denote the oath. Details of the full text of the oath remain scanty. However, the church established that residents were being asked to denounce family planning, a measure probably designed to increase the community's population and vote. The community was also being urged to circumcise its daughters. Echoes of these sentiments really remain today, with Kikuyu politicians using the circumcision claim to campaign against Raila. On Friday, March 18th, Moses Kuria is seen firing salvos at his political nemesis, criticizing Uhuru Kenyatta for supporting Raila Odinga. There was also evidence that blood played a key role in the ceremonies. For instance, one man identified as Samuel Githinji Mwai was kidnapped from his home together with his wife on the night of September 15, 1969. He died 2 days later from injuries inflicted by the Othing gang. His wife would later tell the East African Standard that they drank blood from a spoon.
Well, call it even churches. That is the cancer.
The church would later organize massive prayer rallies in which pastors led their congregations in denouncing the oath. Signs that the government was softening its stand came when Eliud Mathu, then the State House controller, raised his hand in support of the denunciation during a prayer rally attended by 25,000 people in Kikuyu. On September 16, 1969, Moi issued a statement in which he asked police to probe claims of widespread brutality. Still, Kenyatta was furious, summoning the clergy to explain why they were holding rallies and tainting the government's image. In his memoir, Gatu suggests it was the church versus the state. Gatu says, the clergy, however, prepared well for the meeting and put together photos of the victims of torture and other evidence. After a long meeting in which Kenyatta was visibly furious, he appeared to soften his stand and much to the surprise of the gathered clergymen, Mzee was willing to engage need be, but not through the press. In his Exclusion and Embrace, Professor Miroslav Volf captures the experience of the Luo people best when he avers. Hence, the proscription of KPU made Kenya a de facto single-party state and established a pan-ethnic nationalism. The government accused KPU of being subversive, stirring up inter-ethnic strife, and accepting foreign money to promote anti-national activities, which included the building of the party-named Russia Hospital that the president had come to open. Having demonized Nyanza province, it was easy to exclude her from national and development plans. While the oathing period was coming to an end, its effects, however, continue to be felt today. Pungu Muigai, the Kikuyu National Council of Elders patron, on Tuesday, March 1st, was said to have allegedly criticized the head of state's move to support Raila Odinga, saying it was against the oath taken by the Gema Nation in 1969, just days after details emerged of the reason behind the cancellation of the mega coalition launch. He would, however, deny these allegations.
My respect for the President of the Republic of Kenya is unquestionable, and I have proved it over and over again. I have stood with him in all his political endeavors, and there is no way that I would criticize him for his actions or his decisions. It is completely unthinkable. More so in the press.
Kungu met Deputy President William Ruto at his home in Karen, eliciting mixed reactions considering by then Ruto and President Kenyatta rift had started portraying in the public. Yvonne Owuor, the winner of the 2003 Kane Prize for African Writing, amply observes that after Mboya's death, Kenya gained a third official language after English and Swahili, which is silence. She adds, displayed by ghost, in between people, no one to blame, most of the witnesses dead, others had vowed themselves to eternal silence. This was the same as death. Unless we confront the past, murders like that of the electoral official Chris Musando in 2017 will recur. Kenya police have a long history of using excessive force against protesters, especially among the Luo in Western Kenya. Of the over 1,100 people killed during the 2000 post-election violence, over 400 were shot by police in the Nyanza region, according to Human Rights Watch. In 2013, police killed at least 5 demonstrators in Kisumu, who were protesting a Supreme Court decision that affirmed Uhuru Kenyatta's election as president. And in June 2016, police killed at least 5 and wounded another 60 demonstrators in Kisumu, Homa Bay and Siaya counties. The state acknowledging these crimes and making public apologies to the Luo will, in my view, end the continued violence against the community. For Maisha Prime News, Maisha Television, Brian Gad.
A very nice piece there, and let's get our education segment by Millicent Makoha.
One of the biggest reasons why education is important is that it helps us become better versions of ourselves. It is not just about giving students all the answers. A superior teacher will help each child in their classroom cultivate a long life desire to learn and build the skills to find their own answers out in the world. Although getting an education at school sometimes involves cramming facts and information into your brain. St. Christopher Enyapora High School, located in Mumias West Sub-County in Kakamega County, is the center for excellence in equipping students with skills and knowledge in academics. Under the leadership of Mr. Nicholas Opio, the school has posted excellent grades in KCSE exams since he took the mandate as the school principal.
In terms of academics, we tried. In 2019, the school managed to take 7 students to university. Several got a C and above, and we are happy with that. In 2020, we had a slight drop due to issue of corona, and we did not post at least the grades that we hoped to do so, because when we came back, things were not the way we left in February 2020. But all the same, our candidature of 2021 were 85, and therefore they are determined to ensure that the best results come from this school.
Apart from academics, the school also participates in co-curriculum activities such as soccer, athletics, among other games. The school also has an active Scout Club members, which plays an important role such as first aid services and environmental conservation. The students have appreciated the school principal for the efforts he has put in moving the school forward, promising good grades in the coming national exam.
Mimi ni mwanafunzi wa Enyapora Secondary School. Mimi nimekuwa kiranja kuanzia kidato cha kwanza hadi sasa ni kidato cha 4. Nimekuwa nikihudumu hii kazi vizuri na wenzangu. Mimi ndoto yangu nikimaliza kidato cha 4 ningependa kuwa an entrepreneur, kufanya biashara na niendelee mbele maishani mwangu.
Kwa majina naitwa Patrick Kamala, mimi ni mwanafunzi wa St. Christopher Enyapora Secondary School. Nimefurahia kuwa kiranja wa shule hii, mimi ndio kiranja mkuu wa shule hii. Na kama kiranja nimehudumu kuanzia mwaka 2018 hadi mwaka 2022, wakati sasa nimeretire nikiwa katika kidato cha 4. Ndoto yangu kama mwanafunzi, mimi napenda somo la Kiswahili na somo la Kiingereza, na pia vile vile napenda somo la historia. Sasa ndoto yangu nikimaliza kidato cha 4 niwe mwanahabari shupavu hapa nchini Kenya. Sina mengi, la ni hayo tu.
Mr. Nicholas has appreciated the stakeholders' collaboration, requesting the well-wishers to help in provision of more learning facilities.
With 4 classrooms, but presently we've tried through using the free-day secondary education funds under an infrastructure. We've come up with several buildings and in addition of 7 at least classrooms. I want to thank the Ministry of Education for that. I want also to thank the CDF Mumias West, because where we are now, the 3 classrooms were put up by CDF. The Mheshimiwa has done so much for the school. In fact, when I arrived, I was informed that the school was started by CDF, and those 4 classrooms that I found actually were constructed by Mumias West Mumias West constituency. That's a plus.
For Maisha Education segment, Maisha Television, I'm Millicent Makoha.
In the sense of this law.
Alright, still in feature mode, let's have a look at our daily feature, My Hustle, My Story.
The world today needs a prepared mind that is set to focus on what tomorrow will stand for. That means it is always better for early preparation in some ways. One of them being infrastructure setups like hotels and other public amenities that even in turn provide jobs for the residents of the affected area or the country at large. Amazon Gardens, located in Matungu sub-county in Kakamega County along Bungoma Mumias Road, is a well-set-up resort that reflects the kind of good reception, services and treats that everyone hopes for, as the manager narrates.
My name's Evelyn Lusike Wanyonyi. I'm the manager of Amazon Gardens, which is just part of the branch of the Amazons. We have Amazon's Kakamega, Amazon's Kuku Joint in Kakamega and Mumias. So this is the gardens. It summarizes the Amazons. Across the road we have the Amazon's Kuku Joint Mumias. It is situated along Mumias, Bungoma Road. That is Lukoye.
Amazon Gardens is the best home for this festive season, as it offers many services, among them being foodstuffs, accommodation, conference facilities, swimming pool, among many others, with a conducive environment.
We offer family home away from home environment. Our foods are affordable. The accommodation is classic, clean. And we host also conferences, parties at affordable rates, graduation parties, and there's always introduction. So anything else, I think we can always try to see if we meet. But right now we have all the space, and apart from just the restaurants, we also offer tents, chairs for that. We will run events. That is the general one. We run events, outside catering, and weddings out of here. And there's much that can be done in garden and also outside. We have all the facilities that are portable to wherever you want to. This Amazon can be even in your home.
Its closeness to the highway is one of the advantages the resort enjoys, as it attracts a big number of customers who prefer it due to easy accessibility.
Yeah, the Amazon Gardens is located at Lukoye, near Amazon Lexon petrol station, some meters from Mumias town.
For My Hustle, My Story segment, Maisha Television, I'm Kering Chebet Reader.
Alright, thank you so much for that incisive feature there, My Hustle, My Life, My Story. And that marks the end of the comprehensive, incisive and bold bulletin, Maisha Prime News, that comes to you every Monday to Friday at 8 p.m. and 9 a.m. and on weekends, that is Saturday and Sunday at 9 p.m. My name is Rida Chebet Kering. Thank you so much for being with us since the start of the bulletin. Enjoy the rest of the broadcast.